Holy light of God, exquisite perfection of all love. Accept in this moment this divine truth of your perfect existence within the creation of all love. Accepting in this moment the holiness and purity and innocence within, beyond identity, beyond all seeming differences and all identities, the willingness to surrender into love. All the perceptions of differences. And breathing in this moment, the willingness to surrender this day in all concepts that have been attached in time, attached in form, the willingness to surrender those perceptions of differences, accepting innocence, accepting wholeness, accepting purity, the one heart of every beloved. And in surrendering this day, the willingness to come back and rest in God, the willingness. In surrendering this day, also finding the willingness to surrender the future. And in this divine surrender, dropping in to the present. Leaving all the thoughts on the altar of love and just resting here, resting in love. And again, finding the willingness to invite all of humanity into the one heart, releasing all beliefs of conflict, differences, problems, strategies, concerns, all surrendered into love, placed on the altar of love, surrendered into the bonfire of love. And just resting the mind, surrendering into love. And breathing deeply and fully, and surveying the day, and looking at whether you were conscious of breathing today, but recognizing that in this moment you have the choice to be conscious right now. And breathe. Breathe fully and deeply in the yes to love. As you breathe in the truth of love, and in the out-breath, letting go of all perceptions of limitation and separation. Coming home to the resting. And in this resting place, there is nothing to do, nothing to become, nothing to fix, nothing to figure out, nothing to protect. Just breathing. Allowing. Breathing into the throat. Surrendering the throat into love. Breathing into the shoulders, arms, and hands. Surrendering everything and letting go of everything that has been held in any way of identity of a doer. Just relaxing and resting. Breathing into the spine. Surrendering the spine into the hands of God. And breathing into the heart. Inviting the heart to come forward, open and available to love. Not wanting to hold anything back in defense. In this moment, the willingness to accept that there is nothing to defend. Nothing to protect. And in affirming and accepting that in the divine defenselessness of love, all is peace, all is harmony. And breathing into the belly, surrendering all the organs into the hands of God. Not wanting to keep anything separate. And just breathing, allowing. Breathing into the hips and thighs, knees, calves, ankles, and feet, all surrendered into love and connecting with the earth. Allowing and willing to be here in love. And breathing through the body, surrendering. Now surrendering the emotional body into the hands of God. Surrendering all perceptions of difficulties, all expressions of confusion and protections of all kinds, reactions, worries, resistance to love, all surrendered. And finding the willingness of the heart. You no longer want to let the emotional body be run by the mind and by fear, but willing for the emotional body to express joy and harmony and compassion, ease, love itself. And breathing. And breathing into this moment, staying fully aware, fully present in the yes of love. And yet surrendered. And to no longer fear surrendering. Allowing. And affirming that here in this infinite circle of love we are one heart and one breath. And following and accepting the holy invitation into holy union. There is only one presence here, is the heart, the life force of God. Within this life force, we live and move and breathe as one. Accepting that here in this sanctuary all is love. Here in this universe, in all of creation, is all of love. Nothing else exists. And within this prayer, allowing yourself to let it come into your heart and be your prayer. And maybe you've been waiting all day to find the prayer of the heart. But right now, it's all that there is. Just love, expressing love. I feel your tenderness. I feel your tenderness. I feel your tenderness of your ever-loving hand. I feel the tenderness. I feel the tenderness. I feel the tenderness from deep within. I feel your mercy, Lord. I feel your mercy, Lord. I feel the mercy, Lord, of your ever-loving hand. I feel your mercy, Lord. I feel the mercy, Lord. I feel the mercy, Lord, from deep within. I see your beauty, Lord. I see the beauty, Lord. I see the beauty, Lord, of your ever-loving hand. I see the beauty, Lord. I see the beauty, Lord. I see the beauty, Lord, from deep within. I sense the truth, O Lord. I sense the truth, O Lord. I sense the truth, O Lord, of your ever-loving hand. I sense the truth, O Lord. I sense the truth, O Lord. I sense the truth, O Lord, from deep within. Deep within. Deep within. Within the heart is how you will see love through the eyes, through sound, through everything that you speak. This will come from deep within, and you will see the beloved when you want to see God. When you want to see the divine, you will see the divine in everything that you gaze upon. If you are not seeing the divine, you have just forgotten. And then the call is, I want to remember. I want to see the truth of love. And it's everywhere. It's in everything, in every molecule, in every cell, in every beloved, in every divine movement of love. God is the willingness to see the divine rather than what you know in the belief of separation. Start from deep within the yes, and let it extend out and see through the heart. Want to gaze upon the beloved, want to gaze upon the divine creation, want to gaze upon the truth of all love. And it is so. Holy, 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 the power of divine love, the divine spirit of love, and our Blessed Mother. It is the power of love that comes to celebrate within the heart. Here in this beloved journey, one must see and one must hear what the divine spirit of love is always offering to the heart. And now, in this moment, it is the time, it is the moment for love to shine. This is the new awareness that I have come to fulfill, bringing love to every beloved and bringing the well-being of salvation, the well-being of resting in God to every beloved. Holy, 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 for all forever to sing, to praise, and to remember love. Holy, holy, holy. This is the sanctuary of love, for all to remember and to embrace the truth of love. For all forever to sing, remembering the adoration and beauty of perfect love. Santo, 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 o poder de nosso Pai, o Divino Espírito Santo e a Virgem nossa Mãe, e o poder de nosso Pai que vem celebrar dentro dos corações, aqui nesta missão. Há que ver, há que ouvir, que o Divino Espírito Santo a trazer os corações. E agora chegou a batalha e a hora do amor para resplandecer. Esta é a missão que agora venho cumprir. Trazer aos meus irmãos o bem-estar da salvação, para todos para sempre cantar, para louvar e durar a Jesus Salvador. Santo, 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 esta casa do Santo Cruzeiro, para todos pedir o perdão e alcançar a salvação. Para todos para sempre cantar, adorar e louvar a Jesus Salvador. To see the divine. Holy, holy, holy. In gazing on everyone and on everything, feeling the strength of the heart, the willingness of the heart to express and to hold in reverence the holiness that you're gazing upon. This is the healing that is being wanted in the heart to remember. But the wanting and the remembering comes from seeing, looking within and seeing only the holiness of God, accepting the truth of love. I am the innocence. I am the holiness. I am the divine. I am one with all of creation. Nothing is true. And as I gaze on the world, I can see nothing else, because it is all that is, and it is the truth. Nothing else is true. This is the healing of the heart, the healing and remembering of the oneness of all creation. How simple to want nothing else, and then in that wanting of nothing else, to offer nothing else, to refuse to look upon any false identity of limitation, separation, in all of its various forms, that none of it is true, and that only love exists. Holy, 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 the truth of love. The divine Holy Spirit is the divine in each beloved. The divine Holy Spirit lives in the wind. The divine Holy Spirit lives as the sun, as the moon, as the stars, as the earth, as every tree, as every molecule, as every cell. Holy, holy, holy. That's all that exists. No matter what the false identity is trying to convince and say, no, there's other things, there's other perceptions here that I believe in. That's the healing, the letting go. The willingness to accept that only love is real, only love is true. In the holiness of love, this divine being that was in form, at least in awareness, in the 13th century, and is still as present in this moment, because time has no effect on the truth of love. Beyond recognition, beyond the possibility of understanding within the belief of time, stepping out of time and accepting the wholeness and holiness of one creation ever present. Nothing can die. Nothing of truth ever goes away anywhere. All of love is always right here. All in all. Could you help me with this? An ant said to an elephant when a large seed the ant was dragging back to its nest got stuck between some grass. The elephant, looking down and feeling kind-hearted that day, began to contemplate all that might be needed to render some service. But the task just seemed too delicate and in need of more precision than the elephant's trunk or one of his feet or even his tail or one of his grand ears could handle effectively. So the elephant began to pray for divine intervention. And sure enough, it worked, or seemed to. A berry on a nearby bush happened to fall in such a way as to free the seed from its onward destination. The elephant's faith in God was increased, and the ant, having heard the prayer, was now less of an agnostic. Which he had been for the last year or so. Because of personal reasons. He would rather keep private. All in all, seeming things are moving ahead, working out for the best. The elephant began to pray for divine intervention. And the elephant's faith in God was increased, and the ant, having heard the prayer, was now less of an agnostic. Every moment is the opportunity to see beyond what you think you know, and open to the divine that is wanting to guide and wanting to show you a new way. If you are willing to hear. Notice I didn't say if you can hear, if you have the gift of hearing. It's only if you're willing to hear. There is no one, no creature that cannot hear the direction and the voice of love when it is truly wanted to be heard instead of what you know. The elephant wanted to render service, and went to prayer to be of pure help. The elephant did not need to do the task. It wasn't about the doer. It was about the prayer. It was about opening to the divine intervention of love and being led and being available to serve love because you want to be truly helpful. To be truly helpful is to intercede with prayer. And if there is a thought that is saying, I know something, I have determined something of separation, there is no helpfulness. And love cannot intervene unless it is invited. The elephant invited the divine to intervene, to show the way. What is it that the elephant is aware of that most beloveds aren't? The elephant has an advantage. The elephant isn't enthralled with its own knowing. It isn't mesmerized by its own story, its own identity, its own belief of I'm in charge. I. And the elephant loved in that moment the ant. Loved the ant. And its gift wasn't the berry. Its gift was that in that moment the ant was no longer as deeply committed to being an agnostic and not recognizing where the source of love truly was. The elephant intervened and offered love to the ant by opening to prayer and calling on the divine in love. And the great gift was the ant was no longer so sure, no longer so entrenched in its beliefs of limitation. The ant was witness. The ant saw and was shifted by the miracle. The ant recognized a power beyond the little self. And the little self had nothing to do with the size of the ant. The little self is everyone's belief of separation, everyone's belief of limitation by a form, instead of opening up to the Divine Spirit. Holy, 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 the Spirit of love. What you know cannot take you down that road of love. What you know are the obstacles to love. They just get in your way, because everything that you know is coming from the belief of separation. Now the mind can't contemplate this and figure this out, because the mind is the agent of the ego that is saying, I know to begin with. Let me see if I can figure this out, how the mind is the agent of the divine intervention. Show me the way. I don't know. I haven't walked this journey before. I haven't opened into this moment before. I can't use the past as the qualifier and the director of how to move into love. I have to be shown. The ego hates this. I don't like being shown. I like being the knower. It gives me a sense of power, a sense of control, a sense of being on top of things. That sense of power, that sense of control, it's all false. It never stays. That's your hint. It never stays. You get a high from thinking you did something, figured something out, got in control of something. And within a very short amount of time, the ego has to find a new source to get in control of something else. And whatever it was that you thought you were in control of slips through your fingers, because the illusion of separation doesn't cooperate in staying in anything. It's constantly shifting, constantly changing. It's impermanent. It doesn't have the eternal alignment. That's why everyone believes in death, because it's all based on time, all based on temporary. And yet every beloved is being called to let go and surrender into the divine, back into what you truly are. This isn't a change. This is a awareness of what has always been. That's all. Every beloved in waking up recognizes exactly the same thing. Oh, nothing happened. Nothing changed from the divine. It was just a whole identity thing it just fell away. And here we've always been. There's a beautiful teaching that says, this is a journey without distance to a place you never left. So it can seem like a journey because it's held within time. But in truth, there really is no journey, because you're just journeying to where you never left. So the journey is just a perception, but why not use it as deeply and as fully as possible? If an elephant can pray and ask for an intervention of God, to join with God, why not join? What else is your life for? You can believe all day long that your life has another purpose. But I guarantee you that the purpose that you believe your life has, other than remembering, is just a recycling of some identity that keeps playing itself out, and you keep coming back to the same place. Or the ego has enough razzle-dazzle to it that you actually think you're making progress and changing something. But there's nothing to change. There's just the melting in and remembering. Just like the elephant. I'm calling for an intervention. Intervene in this moment and show the way of blessed movement that is always perfection. I open to the miracle. I open to the ease and perfection of what is possible through the divine grace of God. That's all. And that power of your prayer transforms. The power of your prayer is when you join with the divine. Your prayer is saying, I'm saying yes in this minute. I'm saying yes right now. Maybe you think prayer is a waste of time. Maybe you think prayer is later on when you get in bed and you have time. When you deem you have time. But prayer is every moment. Prayer isn't a long prayer that makes all kinds of demands. Prayer is the heart asking for help and intervention in the moment. Show me the way. 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 I don't want anything else. Show me the way. And when that becomes your heart's prayer, the way is shown. Because you're joining. You're available. You're no longer in an identity in that moment of, I am the doer. I am the one who's figuring things out. The ego identity sees this prayer as an abdication of power. As if you're becoming weak by asking for help. Everything in the world is upside down. Everything. Everything in the world says, strength means I figure it out. Strength means I know. Strength means I accomplish. But this is actually weakness. It isn't strength at all. Strength is in the power of love, because it's the only power that there is. When we believe in separation, when a beloved is walking in the belief of separation and living life through the belief of separation, that beloved is always scared. That beloved is always tentative and overcoming a tentativeness with a forcefulness that will prove against the battle of the fear of the weakness. I gotta prove myself. I gotta win. I gotta get control. This is all coming from fear. And fear is the ultimate weakness. There's no power in fear. Now the ego isn't completely without manipulation. So it uses form and it uses structure to make you think that you're making progress with your self-doing. But you always end up back in the same place. And how is it that you can end up back in the same place? Every beloved who has believed that they've had success in the world, accomplishment, comes to the same place over and over again, that as soon as that accomplishment coming to the mountaintop, as it were, the satisfaction lasts for a tiny little bit. And then you have to start again and find another goal, another mountain to climb, another identity to conquer, another element to prove. This is why everybody's so tired. The tiredness is it's not about the body being tired. It's about a sense of spirit tiredness, a weariness that is like, when is this going to end? When is this going to stop? And it has nothing to do with the end of the body life. It has to do with when you finally are willing to raise the white flag and pray and allow and call the spirit of love to intervene in your life and open that door to be led. If you could see the guidance of God, and you can, but if you open to the awareness of the guidance of God, insanity, that would be the most joyous day in your life. Why wouldn't it be? You're no longer walking this journey in the belief that you're alone. You now have a guide, guidance, love. All of heaven, all of divinity is taking you forward into love, showing you the way. Why wouldn't that be the most exquisite day? But the ego has another agenda. The ego sees it as, I don't like this. I don't like this guidance thing. I want to be in charge. I'm not done proving myself. Well, you can keep proving yourself, except that you never come to any proving. There's never a sense of peace of having proved anything. There's never any, oh, I finally got there. I have finally proved my worth. You can't prove your worth. Your worth is intrinsically the divine. It's all of love. It can't be proven. What you're trying to prove is a worth according to the world's concepts of accomplishment, based on the past that says you are unworthy, based on the belief that you are not the truth of God, that you are not the truth of all creation. There's a prayer that I was called to read. Divine grace. You have one beloved, and it is this beloved that I would look upon today. This beloved is your one creation. Why should I perceive 1,000 forms in what truly remains as one? Why should I give this one 1,000 names when only one suffices? For your beloved must bear the name of love. For you created love, and you created all beloveds as that love. Let me not see this beloved as a stranger to the truth of creation, nor as a stranger to myself. For this beloved is part of me and I of him, and we are part of the divine, the one source, eternally united in love, eternally the holy child of God.
Mm. Mm.
We who are one would want to recognize in this day the truth of all beloveds of ourselves. We would come home and rest in union, for there is peace, and nowhere else can peace be sought and found. The release of the belief of differences. This is what prayer is for. To release the belief of differences that have been made in the name of separation. All fragmented identities that cannot be understood. But imagine accepting, and do accept, that every beloved that you look on, you are looking upon yourself.
Mm-hmm.
There's no one else. There's only the divine. If you see something else, you're seeing a made-up identity. And you're not, in that moment, wanting to remember God. So why do I say this in this way? That if you are not willing to see the beloved, you are not willing to remember God. Because it's the same thing. The ego will play a game and say, oh no, this is different. This is different because this behavior is like this, or this behavior is like that, or this one looks like this, or this one looks like that, or I look like this, and this one looks like that, we don't look the same. Those are all made up. And when you are choosing to look at differences and see separation, you are not wanting to remember God. There's not two choices. There's not, oh, please help me remember God, and you really irritate me. Stop doing what you're doing because it irritates me. I don't like this, I don't like this. I like this. Do this again because I like it. I have decided this is okay. This is all the game. And it's the game of pain. It's the game of affirming separation. I don't want to remember God today.
Mm.
You wouldn't wake up and actually say that, would you? You wouldn't wake up in the morning and say, this is the day I devote to not remembering God. You would be an agnostic like the ant, who just had for the last year, for personal reasons that he'd rather keep private, decided he didn't want to know God. It's important to see the games of and strategies of the ego identity. It's important to see them because the strategy takes on all kinds of different little formulas that make it look like everyone's a victim. That this is all happening to you and you don't have another choice. And that's why the starkness of, I don't want to remember God today, is not clear. It's hidden under the belief of conflict and the belief of irritations and the belief of, I had an agenda and I wanted things to turn out this way, and you're not cooperating with that. Or the self-judgment within. It's the same thing. When you judge yourself when you judge yourself, maybe you see it as just habit. Maybe you see it as just that's normal. But you are saying in that moment, in that habit, in that unconscious trance, you are saying, I don't accept the truth of God today. I don't accept the holiness of all creation. I am the decider today. Through my judgment, through my decisions that of my likes and dislikes. And then there is an internal sadness. There is a sense of hopelessness. Why am I not finding my way to God? Because God is here waiting to be recognized by the letting go of what you think you know about separation. Every moment is the opportunity of remembering love. So you may think to say, when you wake up in the morning, I am the holiness of God. And what would the ego say to that? Well, that's pretty highfalutin. You haven't earned that. You're right. You haven't earned it. Because there is no earning of divine love. To deny the holiness of the spirit of love that is the truth of who you are is to deny the truth of God and to accept a lie. It's to say, God is wrong, I'm right. It looks more complicated than that. It looks like when you are self-judging or you're judging others, which is the same thing, it looks like it comes from a place of low self-esteem. Low self-esteem. And it comes from the past. It comes from the belief of my identity and what I believed all my life is true. And I say no to the truth of God. I say no to the perfection of God. It isn't arrogant to accept holiness. It isn't arrogant to accept innocence. It is arrogant to say, I am unworthy of love. Again, everything in the world is upside down. Absolutely upside down. It is not arrogant to accept the purity of your being. But to accept the purity of your being is to let go of what you know, because they don't coexist. You are either believing in separation and limitation and difficulty and pain and suffering and unworthiness, which is that's all its manifestation, or you're willing to accept the humility of the holiness of all creation. It's humble. It's a place of humility to accept holiness. It's a place of humility to accept innocence. It's a place of humility that accepts the sacred truth of God that every master has offered. It looks upside down in the world. The world's identity says no. It's humility to say, I am not worthy. It's humility to accept unworthiness. No, not at all. It's total arrogance. Arrogance in the world looks like I'm very powerful, I'm very in control, I'm very in charge. Aren't I great?
Hmm.
No, arrogance is, I am unworthy of love. Because arrogance is saying, I know, I have determined, my evidence is right, my life evidence, my identity is right. And there's no love there. Love is acceptance of the truth. Self-love is the acceptance of the truth. And no longer being willing to accept the lie of unworthiness, of self-hatred. Let's call it what it is. Self-hatred. All the expression, all the perception of something being wrong out there is all coming from the belief that there is self-hatred here. You believe it. You believe in self-hatred. Everyone who's incarnated into this world, except for those few masters who were born already awake for specific purposes, but everyone else who's incarnated in this world has come in because and incarnated as the identity of self-hatred and plays it out in every possible way. Doesn't make it true, just makes it agreed on. So who is going to step out of that agreement and say yes to love, say yes to God, say yes, I'm willing to see only the truth. I'm willing to pray like the elephant and ask for intervention. I am going to intervene and serve love and be the servant of love by asking for help, by asking to be guided. And not a false guidance. The ego likes to do that sometimes too. Oh yes, I got guidance to buy a lottery ticket. There was a beloved many, many years ago who was sure that he had guidance to buy a lottery ticket and that his lottery ticket would be the winning lottery ticket. It wasn't. And that was the beautiful teaching for him, is to start to recognize and discern and not to use guidance as another ploy of the ego to get what you want or to protect yourself in some way, but to really open to guidance, to really hear the voice of love, is to let go of all decisions and truly want the voice of love to lead you, and to truly want to see no more differences, and to truly want to be led in love. Doesn't matter what you call it. Being led, guidance, the voice of God, divine inspiration, it's all the same. But that divine inspiration comes from a place that has no agenda. No agenda. And what is the agenda that usually comes up? It has to be based on fear. And the agenda comes up for the purpose of protection. There is no protection in love because there is nothing to be protected from. The recognition that there is only love is to accept and sink into the willingness to be undefended. Holy cow, to be undefended, to open the heart, to be available, and to recognize that nothing can hurt you. Nothing can hurt you. Everything that you believe can hurt you is about the identity of the body. Now the body includes the emotional body, all the energy bodies. If you accept that you are the eternal light of God, and I promise that you are, But if you accept that, that eternal light, that eternal life cannot be damaged. Now this is a big leap of faith. Absolutely, it's a big leap of faith. Because everything in you is identified as a form, as a body. And you've believed it hook, line, and sinker. You had nothing else to reference point to. And then all of a sudden you're called spiritually. And the call spiritually says, give me everything you think you are. Surrender everything you think you are. And come home as the light, as the spirit of love, as the truth of oneness. Come home. Come home to where you never left. Remember, wake up. That's what awakening is. Wake up. Awaken from the dream of separation. And just like Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz, when she comes back and wakes up from the dream, she has a big story to tell of what happened while she was walking in the dream. And what she was walking in the dream, she says, oh my God, and you were there, and you were there, and you were there, and this happened, and there were these, and there were these wild monkeys, and everybody was attacking everybody, and there was a struggle, and there was a journey to have to find your way home. And then she wakes up and she recognizes, oh, I never left here. I was here all the time in love, with God, as God, in God. No separation. And everything's always been here because everything is just love. But can you accept this when you don't know it? That's the key. This is all about surrender. Surrender, Dorothy. Surrender, humanity. Surrender. What is surrender? It's letting go. It's surrendering what you know and dropping in and dropping down into love. Surrendering your life, surrendering the perceptions of what you are and what everything means, and just letting love lead. Letting love show the way. I don't know the way. Show me. Guide me today to the one heart. Every morning you can wake up and surrender. Surrender the day. Now, does that mean that you surrender in the morning and then the rest of the day you're easy peasy remembering? Not right at first, no. And time doesn't have anything to do with it. It has to do with the willingness to keep coming back. The trance is so habitual. It's everything that you've known. And in that habit, it takes that wanting, and that wanting to be centered all day. What do I truly want? Where am I walking in this moment? What am I offering in this moment? What am I believing in this moment? What's the truth in this moment? What am I seeing in this moment? Am I seeing differences in this moment? Am I experiencing conflict in this moment? Am I concerned in this moment? Am I upset in this moment? Can you embrace that if you are upset, you are believing in something that is not there? Well, this is beyond Omando to the ego identity of liking everything that it sees and assessing everything and making its own world out of it. If I am upset, I'm seeing something that is not there. It means that I've stepped out of the truth of love. And this is an indicator for me. This is the guide. The guide in that moment is saying, come back to peace. Come back to love. Come back to letting go of the meaning that you've given everything in this moment, and drop into love again, and trust that you are being guided. And trust that you will be led in what is most helpful. I am here only to be truly helpful. Those aren't just words. It's a recognition that there's nothing here. There's nothing to do here except to be truly helpful. And truly helpful means that you're willing to remember love in the moment. That's the helpfulness. It has nothing to do with action. The action may come from that intention of truly serving love in this moment, to see only love, to be only love, to express only love, nothing else. Truly helpful. To remember love here, to open the heart, truly helpful. I do not have to worry about what to say or what to do, because love will direct me. Am I willing to recognize and to accept that I do not have to worry about what to say or do, because love will direct me? If there is worry, that means that you believe that you are in charge and that you have to figure something out. There's no worry in love. I will be directed. I want to be directed. I want to be guided. I want to be shown the way. I'm tired of trying to figure it out. This is when dropping into the recognition of tiredness in spirit can really be so helpful, because then you can recognize, this isn't getting me anything. I want to remember. I want to come home. I want to love. I don't want anything else. Why is it that everyone is so afraid of love? Well, everybody would say, well, I'm not afraid of love. I'm afraid of fear. No, fear is your friend because you keep choosing it. Love is what everyone is afraid of, because in love there is a belief of disintegration. There's a belief that you will lose control. There's the belief that you will be without of your structure, your knowing. And the fear of love says, I'm afraid of God. I'm afraid of God because I've projected onto God human identity. I've projected onto God a false ego sense, an identity that says there is judgment in God, an identity that says there is lack, there is struggle, there isn't enough. While I was walking in the perception of journey, I was shown a strategy that I was using. The strategy was that I was going to prove myself to God because there wasn't enough love. Because there was a limited amount of love. I believed that there was a limited amount of love. And that if I could prove to God that I was worth my little sliver, I would be well ahead. And this is completely insane. There is no proving anything to God. God is, and there is no judgment in God. God is love. God is a word that has been used to make up all kinds of stories about what God is. God is love. That's all. And not the love that has been made in the world that has used the name of love in an erroneous identification. The erroneous identification believing that there are different kinds of love. That there's a kind of love in partnership, and there's another kind of love that you might have more that's like, or that you can love somebody and then stop loving them. This isn't love at all. You cannot stop loving. Can you stop breathing? Love is eternal. Love is all that there is. You cannot give love to someone, and when they don't behave or do what you want them to do or look like you want them to look, then you remove it. It's not love at all. That's a condition of enslavement. There's no love there. Love has no conditions. Never. There's nothing that can be conditioned in love. It is freely given, offered without any conditions, because it is, because it's the truth of creation, because it's all that is, and you are the oneness within God. Within that love, you are returning to your source. And you could never have left your source, but in your belief of separation, you believed you left the source. Love is the recognition that you cannot leave source. You cannot leave. And you cannot love a little. You cannot love sometimes. And you can't have different kinds of love for different situations. Imagine that you love God so much, and then you walk outside your door and you look at your neighbor and you say, well, I could like you maybe. No, not possible. That's God. That neighbor is the divine. Their dog is the divine. The cat is the divine. The wind is the divine. The mountains behind you are the divine. The trees are the divine. What are you stopping with? What are you limiting love to? What are you thinking that you can decide and discern what to give love to? And that's not love at all. There's no love there. See it for what it is. It's approval. It's a like or a dislike, but it's not love. To open the front door and see the beloved that you know as your neighbor, and to fall down in front of them and kiss their feet because God has arrived, is love. To see the beloved who robbed a bank yesterday and to drop down and kiss their feet and to recognize they are the divine. It doesn't matter what story they're carrying. It doesn't matter what they believe. They're the divine. To love without conditions. To love completely. To let your heart burst and love. And melt into oneness, where there's no distinction anymore of where you start and anything ends. It's all love. But these are just words until you say, yes, I'm willing to love. I'm willing to love with every breath. I'm willing to love with my whole being. I'm willing to burst into flames in love. Nothing. I don't want to be stopped in any way from loving and from offering love, which is what the elephant offered the ant. Love. Let me help you. Let me be the servant for your remembering. Let me love and see nothing else. It's all that I want. This is your heart opening. This is your prayer. Not you as a separate self, but the divine prayer. But you have to take it in. You have to accept it. You have to want to live and breathe and drink. And what are you here for? Accept this. Not just here in this moment within this sanctuary, but here, walking on this earth plane, in time. It's what you came here for. Why not use it? And why not sink? Why not melt? Why not burn up? There's a beautiful hymn called The Fever of Love. Fever of love. Burn away everything and let this fever of love encompass everything. Let me not be afraid of the fire and be burned completely into love. I don't want to waste a moment of this lifetime going around the same circles again and again. I want to use time for its true divine purpose. That can be your prayer. Devotion. Real devotion. Devotion to love. Not devotion to an image of something. That can be part of it, but it's not about a singular devotion. It's about devotion bursting because you want so much to remember and you are devoted. You're devoting yourself to remembering, to love. To the world identity of conquering the world, this seems foolish. But this is the healing of humanity. Every beloved that is walking the earth in the belief of separation, every beloved's heart is the same soul. And every beloved is wanting to remember. Somewhere within them, they came here to remember. They may not consciously be aware of that. But those beloveds who are becoming consciously aware of the purpose of life are called to serve every beloved. We are marching to the rhythm of the beat of a distant drumming. We are marching to the rhythm of the ones who came before us. We are marching as the divine truth of love. And that just means offering love. Rather than, I know something. I know something is separate. I know something is without. Don't be afraid of love. It's almost an oxymoron. To be afraid of love is to bring fear and say fear is right and love is wrong. When you don't choose love, you're choosing fear. And there is nothing beautiful, there's nothing divine in fear. Every beloved has tasted fear. Every beloved has tasted and felt and been engulfed in fear at some place and some time. And even when you don't feel engulfed in it, it's like it's your companion. It's like it's always kind of there waiting. So you're in fear just in the waiting. And it's to turn away from fear and to recognize it for what it is. It is a temper tantrum against love. It is the great rebellion that says, I don't want love. I'm choosing fear. And everyone has this divine choice. This is not being done to you. Fear does not happen to you. It is what you choose when you choose to know something of separation and you believe your past. Is it a leap of faith to choose love instead? Absolutely. Absolutely, it's a leap of faith. And it's like the trapeze bar, that you're holding on to fear and you have to let go of fear, and love is coming toward you in another trapeze bar, and that space in between is your faith. And then you grab the truth and you say yes to the truth. I want to only love. I don't want anything else. I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know even what it means, but I'm saying yes to love. I have been promised that love is true. I have been promised that love exists and only love exists. Nothing else. And I am putting my faith, I'm putting my life into that truth. That I don't know, but I'm saying yes. And in that yes comes transformation. In that yes comes divine healing, because you're letting go of the identity of separation. You're surrendering it into the bonfire of love. And you're willing to be washed clean through the fever of love, of all misperceptions, of all erroneous identity. You're willing to accept love. Let me recognize the beloved today. Let me see past every beloved's persona. And let me recognize, this is your prayer, let me recognize that everything that I see in someone else that is not love is what I believe about myself. Nothing else. If you think that there is a wrongdoing in someone else, it's because you believe in wrongdoing. If you see disturbance in somebody else, something that disturbs you, it's because you believe in disturbance. It's because you believe in scarcity. It's because you believe in attack. It's because you believe in battle. It's because you believe in unworthiness. And that's what you're seeing. If you want the nightmare to stop, stop looking for the nightmare. Because that's what you're seeing is a nightmare. If you want to see love, you will see love. You have to want it. That's the only thing that's stopping you from recognizing love, is that you don't want to recognize love. That is not an indictment. It's a clarification so that you're aware of what is running and what is holding you from experiencing peace and joy and harmony and ease in every moment, and being that peace and joy and harmony that you truly are. You're not anything else. No one is. What are you seeing? What are you experiencing? What are you believing in? The healing is within. I've said so often, there's nothing outside yourself.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing. Everything that you believe you're seeing is what your mind is making up. But that's where the healing is. Because if it was really out there, how could you ever heal? You would be at the mercy of a world constantly that was not cooperating. So how is it that somebody awakens and sees only love? It's just the letting go. of everything that is known, and wanting to see only love and loving unconditionally. And this is your journey. Why not use it completely, every moment, and forgiving and forgiving and forgiving the moments that are forgotten, to keep coming back to the healing balm of forgiveness. Forgiveness that recognizes, oh, I made something up. I was mistaken. I forgive myself for every mistaken identity that I've ever made up. There's been nothing really to forgive. I forgive the mistaken identity, that's it. Nothing else needs forgiveness because nothing else has happened except just a mistaken identity. And forgiveness is temporary. In the truth of oneness, there's no more forgiveness. Forgiveness is a vehicle of love that transforms the beliefs and frees the divine and frees love to be what it is, what's always been. It's the dropping away. Forgiveness allows the dropping away, the burning away of the erroneous false identity. You made up the false identity, and only you can forgive it. Only you can let it go. No one else can let it go. You have to, it's about surrender. Take this. Take what I've made up. Take everything of this life, and only the love will remain. I don't have to know what anything is. I don't have to know the good from the bad, the right from the wrong. I don't have to make sense of it. I don't have to try to discern what's good and what's wrong and what's right. Take it all.
As you were talking about the elephant and the ant, I felt very moved I just felt how exquisite it is to pray for people. And then up came a memory of what I think has gotten in the way, so I ask your help. Of course, when I was a child, I was praying for my mother's healing. And in the child mentality, I thought if I was listened to, I would be responded to. And so I never realized till this moment that one of my blocks in praying is that I gave up on some level, being heard. And so to clear that, please guide me on what is the true being with prayer, without expectations.
Without expectations. Yeah. Because that's the key. When you were praying when you were little, you're praying through the belief that you were in prison, that you were in a nightmare. And that is a child's prayer, because that's what a child can see. But when you come into the awareness of, and the promise of love, the promise of wholeness, the prayer becomes intervene what I am making separate. Show the way. In a sense that the elephant was not praying for the ant, in the sense of fix the ant. The prayer was, let love be recognized. Let love, the miracle which is love, show the ease and the grace and the peace of wholeness. it's really wanting what's most helpful in the moment. And not knowing, not having outcome. So one of the, we can call it a low level of prayer that everybody has, we call it the childish ways of prayer, which is, I want the Giants to win the Super Bowl. This is going to make me feel much better. So you pray for the Giants to win the Super Bowl. This may or may not occur. And it reveals within that the silliness of wanting outcome. So one beloved is praying for the Jets to win, and the other one's praying for the Giants to win. So who wins is then more favored, more special, more in alignment. This is all ridiculous. I mean, it doesn't have any purpose other than maybe introducing someone that there's a possibility of prayer, but it can also lead to prayers aren't heard and prayers are really meaningless. But when you open to help me to remember, help me to release all beliefs of conflict and pain and suffering. And prayer has a power because you are in that moment joining, and you are recognizing that there is an existence of divine energy that is greater than the identity of self. You're expanding. Just like the ant stepped a little bit out of being an agnostic. That ant was given through that prayer an expansion of the recognition that the universe could move in such a way that this was beyond his comprehension, and that there was a divine grace that was beyond comprehension in the little self. And you open to that divine power. And that's the prayer. It's not for outcome. It's thy will be done. Thy will be done, meaning love, show me the way. And let me recognize what's most helpful and how to move in ease and peace. And in that, all help is always given.
So when we're praying for people, what would be the most aligned with the truth?
That you don't know what their journey needs to look like, and that you're just saying, you're saying what is most helpful. I am saying yes and holding that with the truth of God. It's even if it would look like this. Let's say you pray for somebody and you say, I really want them to remember love. Well, that's already guaranteed. So it's really, let me remember love, so that I can hold them in that truth, instead of praying for their journey to look a certain way or to be in a certain time frame. Help them to find peace. Help them to recognize the ease that is present right now in this moment. Whatever's most helpful. But it's really that you're holding them in the divinity and the truth of love, and that you're not willing to see them anymore as separate, different.
So rather than prayer being wanting to fix in the world through the perception of the ego, it's a joining. Help me join with the truth of God
and their highest good,
and
I
hold
don't
a
know.
space for them
to find their way.
to find their way.
But and it's very delicate, because all the while you're holding them as whole and complete.
Yeah.
Because if you're holding them as lacking, then you've joined them in the belief that they are lacking. And they're not. They're whole and complete. They just haven't remembered. In the prayer, oh Father, I pray for tenderness. I pray for the awareness of my inner worth. I pray for the awareness of humanity's inner worth. And that's the ultimate prayer, really, is that's all that you want, is to remember. I pray for strength, I pray for help, I pray for the awareness of harmony and peace and joy. I pray to remember that everything is love. In this moment, the willingness to hold prayer in your heart in every moment. The willingness to remember love. And in this moment, as we close with prayer, with love, the willingness to recognize the beloved in every beloved. The willingness to offer love without conditions, without restrictions. And remembering as we close to hold each beloved in this healing, in this moment, to hold every beloved gently and easily and softly with an open heart. Just being aware of divine alchemy of transformation that is occurring in this moment. And offering that gentleness and that holding. And to practice offering love until the practice melts into being love and remembering love.